Oh, now what's the motherfucker can't deal, good people? What he do? What he do? Hit that like button. Appreciate you for pulling up to the bootleg ass studio. Let me know who you is, where you from. Trying something new right now. I'm off screen at the moment, so don't panic. Don't panic. I'm here. I'm right here. What's good, brother? It's been a while. It's definitely been a while, Mister Open Eon Opinion. I don't know how to pronounce that, but I know where you going there with it. I think I said it right the second time. Opinion. Tuning in from Florida. What he do? What he do? What he do, man? It been a hot little minute, man. I hope everything been good with you. For sure, man. I ain't even really got no topics, y'all. I'm just chilling right now. I was like, hey, man, I want to go ahead and jump on live right quick. Holler at the people.
I'm just chilling right now. I was
Make-
like, hey,
Okay, yeah, that sounded good. I had to check out my sound.
chilling right now. I was like, hey, okay, yeah, that sounded.
Bet. How y'all doing, man? Hit that like button as you follow up in here. Let me know who you is and where you from. If you would like to donate to the channel, you can do so by sending super chats on YouTube and stars on Facebook. However, that Cash App is floating at the bottom of the screen. I would love if you choose Cash App because I will receive 100% of the proceeds. YouTube and Facebook gonna take out a big chunk of whatever you're seeing through those stars or super chats. So, highly appreciate it, whichever one you're seeing, but just keeping that in mind. But how y'all doing out there, man? It's a lot going on in the world. Lot going on in the world, man. Did y'all see that Kamala interview with Fox? Did y'all see that? I thought that was quite entertaining. I think that was the best one yet. Cause all her other interviews been rather cringy. They've been soft showing, asking her bullshit ass questions, talking about what Doritos you like, what's your favorite snack on a road trip, and then sitting down with Stack Five and Matt Barnes on the All the Smoke podcast, sitting there yucking it up. That was cringy. It was hard for me to watch. It took me about 3 or 4 days to watch that because I kept getting bored and I had to watch something else. You know, anything with Trump, whether I agree with him or not, it's quite interesting. I've sat through the whole Aiden Ross interview, the flagrant interview with what's his name, Andrew Schultz. Um, what else? What else? I don't sat through quite a few Trump interviews without being interrupted. You know what I'm saying? Without being bored, but and without cringing. But Kamala, oh God, it's hard to watch her. It's hard to digest her. Just me personally. And I don't see how anybody else could sit there and not be cringing while they watching her ass. Like when she gets to moving her hands and talking that crazy talk, when they ask her a simple question and she goes all the way around the world just to go around the question. But we finna get into this Fox interview. Let me find this bad boy right quick. Hold up, y'all. I hope y'all doing good, man. This a beautiful day to be alive out here in the world. Beautiful day, man. Today is Friday, October 18th, 10:32 here in Texas. Where is it where you are? How is it where you are? As I'm pulling up this Fox interview. What is that weather like where you at? Let me pull this up real quick. What up, though? Hit that like button. Let me know who you is, where you from. You ain't gotta be shy. We got a few people up in the building. We only got Mr. Opinion in the chat. let me get this up. We got it pulled up. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right, y'all. Check this out, man. This got to be the best damn interview yet. I hope we get some sound on it. Let's see. Let's make sure.
Madam Vice President, thank you for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that
I get
immigration
this.
is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion.
Okay, now. Listen at her. Listen at her, man. This got to be the best interview she has had yet. Cause this man would not let her run from these questions. And when she got the dancing and bullshitting, he stepped in and said something. Everybody else let her dance around and say a lot of nothing. Now watch this. He asked her a direct question. How many immigrants do you think have y'all let in here illegally? Boom. Anywhere between 3 to 6 million. How many? We need a number. Then she goes on to say, I'm glad you brought that up. This is a very interesting situation. Everybody's worried about it. And as you see, this is your first question. So I know it means a lot to you. And you know what I had for dinner today was a whole lot of it. And she get to doing that bullshit and you forget the question that you asked. See, this man didn't let her run off with the question. Watch this. I
Madam
got to
Vice
bring it all
President,
the way
thank you
back.
for the time.
Thank you. It's good to be with you, Brett.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the
He didn't
influx
waste
of
no
illegal
time.
immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have.
Still ain't
And
answered the
you
question.
know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a
which is-
number? Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
He said, man, we just need a number, bitch. You doing all this dancing around the question, bitch. You talking about some, I'm glad you brought it up, and you know what I'm about to say, don't you? You know what I'm about to talk about, don't you? Talk about the numbers that I just asked you. You dancing. Anybody that does this is not thorough. They bullshitting, they hiding some, they have an agenda. She's not thorough. This is what politicians do. They dance around questions. Be direct. And this is why people are waking up because you playing with folks in their face and they see this. This ain't the 1950s. People ain't out here just wanting. Man, we asking for some real things out here, tangible things. We don't want to just sit down at the barbecue or at the restaurants. We ain't doing that bullshit that we was doing back then. Nah, we want real things for us. We trying to make sure that we build generational wealth. And y'all sitting here playing in our face, giving all these benefits to illegal immigrants and things of that nature. But I digress. Let me let her finish. Let me let
Brett,
him
let's
cook.
just get to the point. Okay, the point is
She talking about some. Let's get to the point. The point is the question that you need to answer.
Country over the last 3.5 years.
well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right
do you
now,
just a
which
number?
is-
Do you
but-
think it's
but,
1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your
And-
Homeland Security Secretary said that
Well, no,
85%
but
of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
It's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of
system
6 million
that
people have been
needs to be-
released
but
into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration
You've been talking
immediately
about I
addressed
was
a number
beginning to answer. You had all of at least it don't take that long to answer a question. 3 to 5 seconds, really. tops. But you was trying to take 30 seconds to a minute to answer this question. It don't take that long. I was beginning to answer, yeah, after you gave this speech first.
Needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a
an
rough estimate
immigration
of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to
Look
the
at them
question, I
hands.
promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border.
She's getting agitated. There was that little fake laugh. I was beginning to answer. That's that laugh before I start getting mad.
Policies. Most significantly, the policy that required illegal immigrants to be detained through deportation, either in the U.S. or in Mexico. And you switched that policy. They were released from custody awaiting trial. So instead, included in those were a large number of single men, adult men, who went on to commit heinous crimes. So, looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath,
Was what?
was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was
Was to loosen the immigration laws is what it was. So you can let your other people come in here, you see, and run amok and undermine. Yeah. You gotta peel back the layers on what people be saying. She is full of shit, and this is who y'all want to be president. She can't even answer questions directly. If she don't have a script, she can't talk to you. And she always goes to look. I was raised in a middle class community. What the hell is that gonna do for me? What they got to do with anything we talking about? You being raised in a middle class community, you ain't got no connection to nobody. But that's you trying to build that bridge. Girl, go on, get the hell on.
was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the
finish,
yes, ma'am.
May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they didn't bring up
of
that
responding to the point you're raising.
Look at that hand. That's that emoji right there. That bitch said, I'm in the middle of responding. Yo, but you BSing. And we ain't falling for it, man.
And I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that to the point of this being your first question,
Yeah.
it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people. And our focus has been on fixing a
We still
problem.
on the first question, y'all. We 2 minutes into the video. They could have been on question at least 3 or 4 by now. But since she been dodging this damn question, this man badgering her ass. So we can't get no straight answer out of her. So we still on the first damn question. This is a bullshitter.
And from day one, then, we have done a number of things, including to address our asylum system and put more resources, getting more judges, what we needed to do to tighten up penalties and increase penalties for illegal crossings, what we needed to do to deal with points of entry between border entry points.
Look at them hands.
That's the work we did, and we worked on supporting what was a bipartisan effort, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress.
That must got in his ear and told him to, let her talk for a little bit because he kind of gave her the flow, which is good. I want to hear her fall flat on her face.
To actually strengthen the border. That border bill would have put 1,500 more border agents at the border, which is why I believe the Border Patrol agents supported the bill.
Check this out,
It would have allowed
y'all.
us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States, which is a scourge affecting people of every background, every geographic location in our country, killing people. It would have allowed us to put more resources into prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, which I have done as the former Attorney General of a border state.
Madam Vice President, a couple of things.
Prosecuted trafficking of drugs, guns, and human beings. And Donald Trump, but let me just finish.
And Donald Trump, why we talking about Donald Trump? Ain't nobody mentioned Donald Trump yet. To my knowledge, Donald Trump don't mention her until he's pretty much asked about her or something. Her whole campaign is to talk about Donald Trump and what his policies how his policies has hurt America and is still hurting America, as if she's not in office right now. As if her and Biden ain't done a whole lot of things that has hurt this economy right now. I mean, immediately, as soon as they got in office, gas prices went through the roof. Immediately. Y'all don't remember that? As soon as they got in office, gas prices started going up. I pay attention to these gas prices, actually. Like, for real. I worked at the news station, so this how we was covering was politics and elections and all kinds of the migrant crisis when the Venezuelans and the Nicaraguans was coming over, you know. Immediately when Biden and them got in office, gas prices went through the roof, groceries started going up. But she don't want to talk about that. She's running her whole campaign is to talk about Donald Trump. What's gonna happen if she gets in office? Is she still gonna be talking about Donald Trump? Because Donald Trump ain't been in office for the past 3.5 years. But when Donald Trump was in office, the economy wasn't like this. My dollar went a whole lot further than what it goes right now.
Voted against that bill.
Learned about that bill and told them to kill it because he preferred to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And in this election,
how many times has she said that, y'all? He prefers to run on a problem rather than fix a problem. Like, she has no dialogue. She has the same talking points, the same lines,
a discussion,
same bars
that the American people want to have, and what they want are solutions, and they want a president of the United States who's not playing political games with the issue,
I hear you,
but actually is focused on fixing it.
6 Democrats voted against that bill. It would have allowed 1.8 million illegal immigrants into the country a year. A lot of conservatives had a problem with it. These are the 6 Democrats. But more importantly, back to the original premise, Jocelyn Nungari, Rachel Morin, Laken Riley, they are young women who were brutally assaulted and killed by some of the men who were released at the beginning of the administration, well before a negotiated bipartisan bill. Former President Clinton actually referred to Laken Riley Sunday, campaigning for you in Georgia, saying if those men had been properly vetted, Laken Riley probably would not have been killed. So if it wouldn't have happened, this is well before any negotiation. This is well before Donald Trump got involved in the politics. This is a specific policy decision by your administration to release these men into the country. So what I'm saying to you, do you owe those families an apology?
Let me just say, first of all,
holding their ass accountable. See, no soft shoeing questions at all, drilling the hell out of her, because they have really been a detriment to the nation, like, for real. And everybody out here worried about these transgender rights and LGBTQ rights and shit. Her running mate that she chose for vice president, he wants to put tampons in boys' bathrooms. This is not what we are worried about today. Like, people are really losing a lot, and y'all worried about little bullshit. Like, it's a lot of people really needing things out here, and this is who y'all want in office. You worried about all of that versus you having groceries, you being able to afford, you choosing between gas, groceries, and paying a bill. This is what you worried about. Like, I can't with people. I can't. Like, people really broke out here. Like, wages ain't going up. That $20 an hour ain't shit no more. Like, people sitting here fighting for $15 and $20 minimum wage. That really ain't nothing. You can't survive off that, to be honest with you. Not if you got a family. That ain't nothing. But we worried about all kind of other shit. We worried about gender being defined correctly, identified correctly, and all this bullshit. Man, come on, get real, man.
Tragic cases. There's no question about that. There's
She wants to put. She wants to have. Trend. She wants to have what? I got to be careful with my words. Gender. Reassignment surgeries in prisons. She wants to have gender reassignment surgeries in prison. Like, what the hell is you talking about? This is who y'all fighting to have in office.
no question about that. And I can't imagine the pain that the families of those victims have experienced for a loss that should not have occurred. So
Under your watch.
that is true. It is also true that if a border security had actually been passed 9 months ago, it would be 9 months that we would have had more border agents at the border, more support for the folks who are working around the clock trying to hold it all together.
Madam Vice President.
To ensure that no future harm would occur. And this election in 20 days will determine whether we have a president of the
The head
United
nod.
States who actually cares more about fixing a problem, even if it is not to their political advantage in an election, because there was a solution, Brett.
She got
Madam
word
Vice
salad out
President,
this
it was a
world.
policy decision in the early part of your administration. I will let one of the mothers talk about it. Take a listen.
Because of the Biden-Harris administration open border policies catch and release, they were enrolled in the Alternatives to Detention program. This meant that they were released into the United States. It was not even a full 3 weeks later that they would take my daughter, Jocelyn Nungare's life. I believe the Biden-Harris administration open border policies are responsible for the death of my daughter.
That's the
She talking about tightening up the border, having more agents out there lying. How you gonna do that and have an open border policy? You contradicting yourself. I'm not understanding. I know I ain't the sharpest tool in the toolbox, but I ain't the dullest either. You know, that don't make a lot of sense to me. How can you be fighting to have more agents at the border and also having an open border policy? I don't get it. Unless you're gonna allow these agents to just let these people freely come in. They're guiding these people to safe shelters and things of that nature. I mean, that would be the only sense that I can make of it. You know, because what is you talking about? Like she talking to y'all, she talking to us like we dumb, like Obama was. They
early days. So do you owe them an apology is what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you that I am
she
so
shook her
sorry
head.
for her loss.
She shook her head no. She said no. Basically, you see how you remember how they was doing. I don't know if y'all remember how they was doing R. Kelly and that was breaking down his body language when that was talking about the Gayle King interview that he did, and she was asking him certain questions. He would shake his head as if he was saying or nodding his head. I think he was nodding his head, yes, like he did certain things. Like she would say, okay, I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember exactly. So let's just say she asked him if you slept with a underage person. He would shake his head yes and say no. You see what I'm saying? This is what Kamala just did. And there was a whole video of somebody breaking down R. Kelly's body language. It was like a psychologist or something like that. And she was breaking this down. I remember that. This is exactly what Kamala is doing. She shook her head. No, he asked her, do you think that you owe this family an apology for basically you allowing these illegal immigrants coming in and they lost a loved one to an illegal immigrant? She shook her head no and said, I tell you what, I'm so sorry for their loss. Yeah, pay attention.
I believe the Biden-Harris
Pay attention.
administration
Check this
of my
out.
So sorry for her.
So do you owe them an apology is what
I
I'm
will
saying.
tell you that I am so sorry for her loss.
Shook her head
I'm
no.
so sorry for her loss. Sincerely. But let's talk about
She said, I'm so sorry for her loss. Shook her head no. And then sincerely, she nodded her head yes. Oh my God. Hey, come on now.
what is happening right now with an individual who does not want to participate in solutions. Let's talk about that as well.
But do you want to answer
in all
her?
fairness, I told you, I feel awful for what she and her family have experienced.
During that time, you said repeatedly that the border was secure. When in your mind did it start becoming a crisis?
I think we've had a broken immigration system transcending, by the way, Donald Trump's administration even before. Let's all be honest about that. I have no pride in saying that this is a perfect immigration system. I've been clear, I think we all are, that it needs to be fixed. We need more. I was just down at the border talking with border agents, and they will tell you, and I'm sure you probably.
She always talking about they will tell you. She always going into that. No, you tell us. I don't care about what nobody can say. We talking to you right now. They will tell you. And listen to her, the inflection in her voice. She's in high octave right now. She's lying. When somebody goes up into high octave like that and just stay there, let me tell you, yeah, 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 yeah. You know, we had just left the border. I was talking to agents, and we need more jobs out there. Yada 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 yada. She's full of shit. Cause she don't talk like that. This is somebody that's trying to convince themselves, not just you. She's a lying fool.
I know you investigate and you are a serious journalist. They will tell you we need more judges. We need to process those cases faster. We need the support for those cases that should be prosecuted. They need more resources, and Congress ultimately is the only place that's going to get fixed, Brett.
Well,
that's how this system works.
That's the premise of this question.
But
there were
that's how the
90
system
plus
works.
executive orders that were rescinded in the first days. Many of those were Trump border policies. I'm not going to stay here because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talked to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it. They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down
So
at
she
the
just
border,
admitted that she failed. That's what it sounds like. Hold on. Sound like she just admitted.
want support, and that's what that border security.
Failure with border security. Why do you think they stay here? Because there's other things to talk about, but you frequently talked to the Border Patrol Union for support of that bipartisan bill, and they did. They supported it. But they also just endorsed Donald Trump and said, you've been, quote, a failure with border security. Why do you think they said that?
I think they're frustrated, and I get it.
So if they were in support of the bill at first, and I guess in support of you, and all of a sudden now they are not in support of you and they are frustrated, these union workers, doesn't that mean that you failed? And you talking about they frustrated? I get it. That means you failed, because anybody that succeeded in doing what they were happy in doing, the other party was happy with, they would have continued to support you. They would have never been frustrated. That don't make sense. That wouldn't make sense at all. If they were happy with how you handled the border crisis, they wouldn't be frustrated. So you failed is what it sounds like, and you just admitted that.
They want support. They want support, and that's what that border security bill would have done. These guys down at the border, these men and women, they're working hard. They're working around the clock. I get it.
There's a lot of people that look back at what you said in 2019 when you first ran for president. And there have been changes, and you've talked about some of them. When it comes to immigration, you supported allowing immigrants in the country illegally to apply for driver's license, to qualify for free tuition at universities, to be enrolled in free health care. Do you still support
this? Is what it sounds like, y'all, to me. Sounds like she's trying to help her people out. Wouldn't you think? I mean, let's just pay attention to this. Think about everybody in their lineage. Think about the Confederacy and their lineage, how they uphold the Confederacy. Think about how Black people, we honor our ancestors in slavery. And and we go through what we go through, and we make sure to we wear that on our sleeve. And we're prideful in it. Her family came over and had to go through so many things to become an American, to this land of the free, home of the brave, and live this American dream. Her family did. They came over, they struggled, or however they struggled, so quote unquote. So now she's trying to build that bridge for others to not have to go through what her people had to go through. That's why she's not going to do nothing specifically for black people, because she don't have no connection. She don't have any connection to us here in America, who's from the turf, whose blood, sweat, and tears have literally built this country. So she wouldn't dare do anything for us because she doesn't have a connection. She's going all the way out, allowing these immigrants, illegal immigrants, to come in because she don't think that it's nothing wrong with that. She's trying to change things for the better of her people. She's trying to bring all these people over here so they can do whatever. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It don't make no sense that Americans would go for this. What other country can you go and just fall in there for free and get benefits and then be entitled when you get there? I don't know, man. Like, we are in a decline. We are in a decline, man.
Those things.
Listen, that was 5 years ago, and I'm very clear that I will follow the law. I have made that statement over and over again, and as Vice President of the United States, that's exactly what I've done, not to mention before.
If that's the case, you chose a running mate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, who signed those very things into state law. So do you support that?
We are very clear, and I am very clear, as is Tim Walz, that we must support and enforce federal law, and that is exactly what we will do.
So decriminalizing border crossings, like you said in 2019.
I do not believe in decriminalizing border crossings, and I've not done that as vice president. I will not do that as president.
So these are evolutions that you've had.
But let's be very clear. I'm the only
Let's be very clear.
president who has prosecuted.
She killed me with that. Let's be very clear. And then she's talking about she's going to follow the law. First of all, Miss Ma'am, you running for president. Not only do you have the power to persuade people to change the law, you can actually change the law. So you don't have to follow the law. You can change it, and that's why people are vote. That's why you are supposed to running for president, not to just follow the law. You're supposed to be trying to persuade new ideas and things of that nature. New laws, maybe remove some laws. That wouldn't make sense. Otherwise, you could just be a citizen out here like you need to be. If you're going to follow the law, we all supposed to follow the law. Yeah, I ain't telling her to do nothing illegal, but you can change the law. You can put new laws into effect, and you can do away with old laws. Simple as that. What are you talking about? You talking out the side of your, I ain't gonna say what I was about to say. Wrinkle ass neck. That's what I was gonna say.
International criminal organizations, from the Sinaloa cartel to the Guadalajara cartel to people who have trafficked in guns, drugs, and human beings. I have spent a significant part of my career going after people who present a threat to the safety of the American people and cross our border with the intent of doing us harm and cross our border illegally. And I will do that work as vice president. I take that work quite seriously.
This is a time when voters, especially here in Pennsylvania, are inundated with commercials and ads. They just want it to stop because it's every commercial. But
oh yeah, this is what I was talking about.
But a few of them seem to break through. This particular one from the Trump campaign has gotten a lot of attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system
look at them hands.
have access.
So are you still in support of using taxpayer dollars to help prison inmates or detained illegal aliens to transition to another gender?
I will follow the law.
But black people can't get reparations. This don't make no damn sense, man. This is ridiculous. She talking about I will follow the law. Look at her. Listen at her. You will follow the law. What does that mean? What the hell does that mean?
And it's a law that Donald Trump actually followed. You're probably familiar with, now it's a public report.
What Donald Trump
that
got to
under
do
Donald
with
Trump's
this? I need a meter of how many times she mentioned Donald Trump in here. Cause what he got to do with this? We talking to you, ma'am. At least allow the interviewer to ask you something about Donald Trump. Why are you bringing his name up? Nobody mentioned him.
administration, these surgeries were available to on a medical necessity basis to people in the federal prison system. And I think, frankly, that ad from the Trump campaign is a little bit of like throwing, stones when you're living in a glass house.
The Trump aides say that he never advocated for that prison policy and no gender transition surgeries happen.
And then, okay, listen at the words she chose. She said that Trump followed that law. Yes, Trump probably followed the law because it was already put in law by Obama, a Democrat. It was already put into law. So he followed the law. He didn't want to remove people's rights that was already there. And I'm just speaking on hypothetical because I don't know what his feelings were towards it. But I do know if he followed the law, it was already put in place by Barack Obama. So of course he followed the law. What are you talking about, doofus? She has the IQ of a softball, and she expects for you to be stupid and not pick up on it. It's actually a law that Donald Trump followed as well. Bitch, I ain't asked you about no damn Donald Trump, hoe. It make you want to backhand the hell out of her because you talking crazy. Donald Trump followed that law. What the hell does that mean? This is something you pushing for, though. It's a difference. So if I got in president's right, if me, Sheldon Vibes, was voted into president November 5th or whenever that election was, I'm going to follow the law as well. I'm not going to be revoking nobody's right to marry who they want to. It's already been established. That's law. Now, there may be certain laws that I may remove or add, but certain laws I'm not going to mess with, whether I agree with it or not. It's just certain things that I'm going to follow. I'm not going to just be revoking people's laws, rights. Yeah, at least without a vote. I would try to maintain democracy, at least. Certain shit I would veto and put in executive decisions about, but what I'm saying is she's talking crazy. Trying to put this on Donald Trump. It ain't got shit to do with Donald Trump, man.
Take responsible for what happened in your administration.
Yeah, no surgeries happened in his presidency.
It's in black and white.
Would you still advocate for using taxpayer dollars for gender reassignment surgeries?
I will follow the law, just as I think Donald Trump would say he did.
You would have a say as president.
She's still talking about.
He spent
gosh,
$20 million on those ads, trying to create a sense of fear in the voters.
You said it though. You can't. This is not AI generated. She's trying to talk about how much money he spent on ads, bitch. How much money have you spent on ads? I've seen your billboard all over from North Texas to East Texas. I didn't seen you. So what does that mean? Y'all both spending money on ads, but this came out your mouth. Nobody's stupid.
Because he actually has no plan in this election that is about focusing on the needs of the American people. Whereas at $20 million on that ad, on an issue that, as it relates to the biggest issues that affect the American people, it's really quite remote. And again, his policy was no different. Look at where we are, though.
They say
on plans for the American people, I'm offering a plan to deal with affordable housing. I'm offering a plan to deal with what we need to do to strengthen small businesses.
Ain't no cackling Kamala no more. Ain't no cackling Kamala, boy. He got her ass hot. I bet she want to come up out that blazer. Them lights that they got on her is beaming on her right now.
The backbone of America's economy. I am offering a plan that is about taking care of young parents and giving them the support they need. My plans for the economy will strengthen the economy, as have been reviewed by 16 Nobel laureates, Goldman Sachs, Moody's, and recently the Wall Street Journal, which have all studied our plans and have indicated my plans for our economy would strengthen our economy, his would make them weaker, would ignite inflation and invite a recession by the middle of next year. Those are the facts.
Why do you think more
Okay, now she said it might invite a recession by the middle of next year because of what you've already put into the economy. Let's not forget that you've already put detriment into the economy already. We already in a deficit. It's going down, down, down. So if we're in the middle of a recession by the middle of next year, which I feel like we're in a recession right now, they just ain't labeled it that. But if we're in the middle of a recession by the middle of next year, don't you think you had a part in that? Like, what are you talking about? So you're not going to, okay. So Obama took credit for the economy that Trump created. You're now creating this economy right now, Kamala. So if we're in the middle of a recession by the middle of next year, if we're going to use Obama's logic, then it would be your responsibility, wouldn't it? See, they do this talking in circles and moving the goalpost. It don't make no sense. If when Trump was in office, the economy was great. How Obama have anything to do with that? Because let me tell you, as soon as Biden and Harris got in office, the economy went to shit. It could have went to shit when Trump got in office, but it didn't. If that's the case, so Obama, you didn't have any credit into what Trump did to the economy. But if we're gonna go with your logic, if we're in the middle of recession by the middle of next year, Kamala, it would be your fault. Especially if you in office. Especially if you win the election. You know.
Say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that facts.
Why do you think more people say they trust him on the economy than they trust you?
I think that when you look at an analysis of our plans for what we would do as President of the United States, it has been clear to those who study and understand how economic policy works that moving forward, because I do believe the American people are ready to turn the page on the divisiveness.
How many times has she said turn the page? She has the same exact talking points. I don't like that. I don't like that. It's like you're a robot. I need to know that you're a real person, a real human being. I need to know that you have thoughts and feelings. And not just thoughts and feelings, but a sense of real leadership. And not acting on your feelings though. Because you tend to like to pull from the heartstrings and try to make people emotional. And that's what people tend to fall for. We in this society where people want to be coddled all the damn time. And Trump ain't with it. Trump from the old school. Trump gonna tell it to you how it is and how it ain't. And whether you like it or not. And I think that's why a lot of people respect him. That's why I gravitate to him. I like to hear what he gonna say because he gonna shoot it straight. He ain't gonna dance around the bullshit. And he's entertaining at the same time. He can crack a few jokes here and there. And even when he ain't joking, he's funny. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I don't know. Kamala ain't got it. She just ain't got it. She's not charismatic. She's cringy. She's fake. She needs a script. She can't answer questions direct. It's a lot.
And the type of rhetoric that has come out of Donald Trump, people are ready to chart a new way forward, and they want a president who has a plan for the future and a plan that is sound and will strengthen our country. My plan for the economy does exactly that. His plan would be, again, to give tax cuts
I
to
don't know why I didn't
billionaires
speed this
and the
up,
biggest
y'all.
corporations in our country and blow up our deficit.
It's interesting you said turn the page, Madam Vice President. You were asked on 2 different shows last week what, if anything, you would do differently than President Biden. Here's what you said.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden, and so that would be one change in terms of. But also, I think it's important to say, with 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump.
So you're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that
She
you
brings up
Let me be
Donald
very
Trump every chance that she get, and then let me be very clear. Here she go. Let her be very clear.
My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency. And like every new president that comes into office, I will bring my life experiences, my professional experiences, and fresh and new ideas. I represent a new generation of leadership. I, for example, am someone who has not spent the majority of my career in Washington, D.C. I invite ideas, whether it be from the Republicans who are supporting me, who were just on stage with me minutes ago, and the business sector, and others who can contribute to the decisions that I make about, for example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing, addressing the issue of small businesses, which is about working with the private sector to bring more capital and access to capital to our small business leaders, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days.
And that thing for black men that she put out, y'all, another thing, y'all. And I mentioned it. I somewhat mentioned it when I broke it down or when I spoke on it. But then it dawned on me. She's really doing it for these illegal immigrants. All this $20,000 that she's speaking on, these grants, forgivable loans, and all this type of shit. That's for these illegal immigrants. That's who that's for. Real black American men and women gonna get the shit end of the stick. Real talk. Fool.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page.
He hit her with that. Look, listen to her answer. I need to slow it down. I'm gonna slow it down in real time, so y'all can hear how she danced on this one and how she couldn't come up with no real feasible answer. Like she didn't know what to say.
3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well,
Her
first of
favorite
all,
line, we turning the page.
turning the page from the last decade
Mm-hmm.
in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader.
What they got to do with my rent getting paid? What they got to do with my belly being full? A new way forward? You gonna change the way people stop pointing the finger at each other and all that? I don't give a damn about no finger pointing and all that. Let's get to the money. Let's get to the real issues of today. Let's get rid of the illegal immigrants. Let's either lower the cost of living or raise wages. Let's do something. Let's come up with some solutions. Let's stop all this bullshit talking. Because what are we saying? A new way forward. We're going to change the way from a decade of the rhetoric that we've been hearing from people and the finger pointing. What that got to do with gas prices? Goodness. Answer the question, lady.
Forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented.
Oh, what Donald Trump got to do with you being president for the last 3.5 years? That was the question. The question was, you've been in office for the past 3.5 years. What are we turning the page from? Well, Donald Trump, damn. Donald Trump gonna be in office. You gonna talk Donald Trump ass right in the office, man. This is what it sounds like. I gotta bring her ass back.
What do you
This is the best interview she's had, man. I'm telling
turn the
y'all.
page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed
Get it
and
out, baby.
implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other.
This is our biggest issue of today, you guys. The rhetoric that Donald Trump has been spewing, having all of Americans point the finger at each other. This is what we're moving away from. This is our new way forward. This is our pathway to a new life. Once she gets in office, there's no more finger pointing from nobody. Life is going to be good. We're going to be just sitting around yucking it up. Cheers to New Year's. What is she talking about? That shit don't matter. All these pulling on the heartstrings and feelings and trying to get people hearts involved and feelings involved. I don't have to like Trump. I don't have to like Trump. Every day, a lot of y'all go into work and don't give a damn about a lot of y'all coworkers. Don't give a fuck about your boss. Could give a damn about the person that's signing your check. But guess what you gonna do? You gonna get your funky ass up every day and you gonna go get that check. And I ain't mad at that. I'm just telling you how we as people go out here and put on a mask just so we can coexist. So if Donald Trump is a person who I don't like, but I could deal with because the economy was good, my pockets is fatter, then I can deal with him being president. Now, if I want to sit and hoorah and have some drinks with somebody and have a good time, then Kamala Harris, then maybe we could be cool. But that don't mean you got to be president because I like you as a person. That's what us as black people get fucked up. Just because I like you as a person don't mean you right for the job. That's stupid. That's unintelligent. That's low vibrational thinking. Now, if you just so happen to like a person and they fit for the job, then okay. But this person is not fit for the job. Listen to her and how she's answering these questions as if this is the real issue of today. People pointing the finger at each other. People going to continue to point the finger at each other until the end of time. Nobody gives a damn about that at the end of the day. I want my rent to be able, I want to be able to pay my rent, mortgage, buy some land, leave it for my family, build some generational wealth. I don't want people coming over from XYZ countries freely, taking benefits that my ancestors and people before us built up for us to have, and they just draining shit out. Like, what the hell is going on with you? She's not of the lineage. She is not from the turf. So she wouldn't understand. Now I'm bringing her ass back one more again because this was a good dance around. This question here got her ass in a chokehold.
Forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on
She's
who
talking
you
about Donald
lift up.
Trump.
The strength of an American president, which is one who...
She's still talking about Donald Trump. This man asked you, what are we turning the page from for the past 3.5 years you've been in office? Goodness.
understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what
Look at them
separates
hands.
us.
Madam
That
Vice
is
President, more than
turning the
70% of people,
That is about turning the
pollsters,
page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
more than 70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, That track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
That dang old Donald.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam Vice President.
You and I both know what I'm talking about.
She don't know what to say.
Both know what I'm talking about.
You can't answer this question because it got her in the chokehold. He said, I actually don't. What are you talking about? Okay, let her fall on the face. Let's go.
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade, people have become,
she's talking in circles. She just said for the last decade a moment ago. You don't need to repeat it. Just clarify.
Over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president.
How did she get this far in life?
To serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know, but
it is supposed to be easy.
It is not.
It is supposed to be easy, ma'am. If you're going to say the things that you're saying about Donald Trump, the way that you're painting this man to be the boogeyman, America supposed to be falling in your damn hands. Since you the new savior, since you got all the right answers, it's supposed to be easy. Anybody that's going up against a felon, a sexual predator, as they like to paint him as, since he grabs them by the cat, what else they say he is? It's supposed to be easy when you're going up against those types of people. You got it in your fingertips, ma'am. If you really had some issues, some resolutions for issues, if you was really speaking to the American people, you would have it in your hands. If you didn't come out here faking the funk, trying to switch from Indian to black, if you'd have just stayed Indian, black people would have supported you regardless. They would have supported you regardless. If you had some real shit coming with you. But see, you ain't got no real shit coming with you. We see it on your aura. It's coming off of every time you speak and open your mouth, you fall flat on your face. And this is what they was trying to avoid. That's why she didn't have no interviews up until 60 days within the election, maybe 90. She was dodging all this bullshit. Oh, but she did come into the race late. And that's another thing. They put her in there. She wasn't elected. She was selected. So, I mean, it's another thing to look at.
It's supposed to be a
cakewalk. So are they misguided, the 50%?
Listen,
are they stupid?
Oh,
what
God,
is it?
I would never say that about the American people. And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch
I
his rallies,
said for you, some of these people is stupid as hell, Kamala. And I think, respectfully, I think maybe you think that we are.
And in fact, if you listen to Donald Trump, if you watch any of his rallies, he's the one who tends to demean and belittle and diminish the American people. He's the one who talks about an enemy within, an enemy within, talking about the American people, suggesting he would turn the American military on the American people.
We asked that question.
Lying. I don't recall any time Trump said he was going to release the American military on the people. But here she goes again, trying to paint him as the boogeyman, and she's reaching for emotions to get you to respond emotionally.
The former president today, Harris Faulkner, had a town hall, and this is how he responded.
She's so uncomfortable.
I heard about that. They were saying I was like threatening. I'm not threatening anybody. They're the ones doing the threatening. They do phony investigations. I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone. He was the greatest gangster. No, it's true. No, but think of it. It's called weaponization of government. It's a terrible thing.
So,
Brett, I'm sorry, and with all due respect, that clip was not what he has been saying about the enemy within, that he has repeated
when he's speaking about the American people. That's not what you just showed.
Well, he was asked about that
No,
specific...
that's not what you just showed. In all fairness and respect to you.
That was the question that we asked him.
You didn't show that, and here's the bottom line. He has repeated it many times, and you and I both know that. And you and I both know that he's talked about turning the American military on the American people. He has talked about going after people who are engaged in peaceful protest. He has talked about...
All right. Go on, Silk. It's all right. That's my... Everybody say hey to Silk. That's my fiance's pit bull. It's all right, Silk.
Locking people up because
they
at the neighbors. Disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it. And this is what is at stake, which is why you have someone like the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff saying what Mark Milley has said about Donald Trump being a threat to the United States of America.
He's quoted in the Bob Woodward book that way, yes. Let me ask you this, Madam Vice President. You call Donald Trump... You call Donald Trump... he's misguided. You say now he's unstable.
He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers that Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people. Joe Biden is not on the ballot.
I understand.
And Donald Trump
but
is.
You talked about it.
And Donald Trump
After George Clooney said within a
He's
few
talking about Joe Biden is not on the ballot. Well, he was on the ballot, faking the phone to the American people as if he wanted. He was able to run. Not only that, he's in office right now. And if he's out of his mind, loony, who's actually running the country then? I believe it's you, Vice President. So that would mean you are responsible for all of this bullshit that's going on. So sounds like to me you ain't stable to run the country either. Cause we buckling at the knees. We about to fall. We about to collapse. This shit finna go crazy.
President Biden had a fundraiser that he thought this was not the same Joe Biden that we saw on the debate stage.
Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I understand. You met with him at least once a week for 3.5 years. You didn't have any concerns?
I think the American people have a concern about Donald Trump, which is why the people who know him best, including leaders of our national security community, have all spoken out. Even people who worked for him in the Oval Office, worked with him in the Situation Room, and have said he is unfit and dangerous and should never be president of the United States again, including his former vice president, which is why the job was open for him to choose another running mate. So that is a fact. That is a fact.
Madam Vice President, two more things. You were asked on 60 Minutes about the biggest threat that the world faces, that the U.S. faces. This is what you said.
Which foreign country do you consider to be our greatest adversary?
I think there's an obvious one in mind, which is Iran. Iran has American blood on their hands. Okay.
I forgot. He grilled her ass too. I ain't gonna say he grilled her, but he wouldn't. He was kind of stern.
200 ballistic missiles. What we need to do to ensure that Iran never achieves the ability to be a nuclear power, that is one of my highest priorities.
A number of experts thought you would say China.
Listen, look at her face expression and everything. She's so uncomfortable with this interview. He on her ass.
Director said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion, that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there, most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself and to give American support to be able to allow Israel to have the resources to defend itself against attack, including from Iran and Iran's terrorist proxies in the region.
Right.
And that is, and my commitment to that is unyielding and unwavering.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal that would have actually put Iran in check.
The estimates in billions.
It was during Donald Trump's
that
administration that
Iran regime.
That we had an American military base that was attacked, where American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries, and Donald Trump dismissed them as headaches, not to mention how Donald Trump has, treated and talked about America's military and military service people, calling them suckers and losers, has diminished the significance.
We're talking over each other. I apologize.
I would like that we would have a conversation that's grounded in full assessment of the facts, which includes, I think this interview is supposed to be about the choices that your viewers should be presented about this election, and the contrast is important.
Yes, ma'am.
And on the subject of Iran, I am offering what should be an important contrast that is presented for folks to make a decision that they feel.
Who look at what the administration did and say and think differently. Madam Vice President, they're wrapping me very hard here. I hope you got to say what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. There are a lot of things that people want to learn about you and your policies, and that's why
I invite everyone to go to KamalaHarris.com, and you will see that I have 80 pages of policies that are quite comprehensive and should be accessible to anyone who would like to read them. And it includes what I intend to do about affordable housing, what I intend to do about small businesses, what I do
and that's why we invited you here, to see where you were in 2019 and where you are now.
America's military, and ensure we have the most lethal and best fighting force in the world.
Madam Vice President, they're giving me a hard rap.
Well, I thank you for the time.
I thank you for the time.
It's good to meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, that was painful. That was painful, man. God damn. Mr. Opinion say she's not getting my vote. This real life webpage is not for real. This be crazy. Oh God. She sat here and talked about Donald Trump this whole interview. That man said, I hope you said what you wanted to say about Donald Trump. Then she gonna invite you to her website if you want to know more about her, as if you was here for that reason, ma'am, to speak about your policies and why you are to be voted in for presidency. Goodness. This lady done gave me a headache, y'all. I gotta go get me something to eat. Man, I appreciate y'all for pulling up, though. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're just getting up in here, bring it all the way back to the tip and watch it all the way. Let me know who you is and where you from. For sure, if you like to donate, you can do so by sending me stars on Facebook, super chats on YouTube, or Cash App. It's floating at the bottom of the screen. I receive 100% of the proceeds that you send on Cash App. These platforms like YouTube and Facebook, they take a big chunk of those stars and those super chats. So, but either way, it's highly appreciated. I appreciate you. So until next time, for sure, Mr. Opinion, I appreciate you for pulling up, man. Said, haven't heard one thing about help Americans at all. It's all about the immigrants. It's all about the immigrants, man. And then this proposal that she just put out for black men. Black men didn't ask for that. We don't want nothing specifically for black men. We want something specifically for black people. There they go with this gender division. We don't give a damn about that, man. And it's not going to be for black American men that are from the lineage of slavery, freedmen. That's what we want. We want something for that. Yo, as if black men out here don't want to do something for their families. And not all black men got families. But that's not what we asking for. We want to look out for our community. That's dumb as hell. It's dumb as hell, man. Sheesh. Yeah, man. Until next time, I gotta go get something to eat. My stomach over here hollering at me. Yup, the munch is on me. But yeah, I'm finna get up out of here. Make sure you hit that like button. Until next time, I'm out.